Hi, Emma.
Hello. Hello. Zita, do you have the PowerPoint or do I have it?
I will have it.
Okay, just checking.
I started to record, and until now we have 3 athletes, Johannes, Henry, and Christina. So Ivana just sent a message that she's at the university, and that was like a trigger to decide that we will record this meeting.
Okay. Is Francesco here?
He is coming within a minute. He told me so he should come now.
Hi, Francesco.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really sorry for delay, but my phone is burning.
Like you, Francesco, because you will have a race in a week.
Oh, I would change. I would race. I would be really happy to race instead to do this.
There is an open race after. I saw at Sunday. It will be two. Yes.
We have about 700 athletes registered on that race.
Okay. We have Christina, Henry, Johannes, Margus. We are missing Ivana. She's at the university, but we will record this meeting. And if you all agree, Željko, Zita, we can start with this. We will have recording anyway.
Ingi Malina is missing as well from Finland, if I can see that.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe. Just to check before we start, if maybe he's trying to connect or something. I will try to reach him.
Guys, are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are all.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we are here.
Taiwan.
That was Christina. Christina, what about the other Slovakian girls? So,
Our chef of the Triathlon Union wrote us that he will not attend this call, and also Zuzana is not available because she has no signal. She's on training camp somewhere high in the mountains. I don't know, something like this.
okay. Thank you that you are attending, and we will have a recording of this meeting.
Okay.
I'm trying to reach me on WhatsApp, but I can't call him because I'm on the Zoom already. If not, he will watch the recorded.
Okay, Željko, then.
Okay. Yep. Welcome everybody. So it's we already had this Zoom with the team last time, but now we have the two important guests. I would say Emma Carney. For those young athletes that don't know, she was a two-time world champion, and she will try to say something about the course in Caorle from the athlete's perspective, and Francesco Pisore, who is the LOC in Caorle, so he will help with a lot of logistics and also the race course. And as you can see, here is Zita, development manager of the World Triathlon, and the Kathleen Smith, Secretary General of European Triathlon. You know me from the last Ohoti meet, just writing to me. He thought it's 1 hour later, so he will try to join us now. And here is Ludmila, who is going to be the head coach in Caorle. So welcome everybody. So I will leave the floor to you, Ludmila, so that we can continue in the meeting.
Okay, hello everybody. Once again, what we prepared for today is thanks to Francesco, who helped Emma to discuss about the race course, and then together they will lead you on the possible way that you can have advantage to race this course. So first, Francesco.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for coming, and we would like to show you some details about the course, about the race, but mainly I think Emma has also some really interesting words generally about how to race, how to approach the race, how to try to get the best of what you can from a competition. Also, sometimes it happens like at school, you study a lot, you think you are prepared, but then the exam is not going as you were thinking or planning. So, and this is just a lack of sometimes of to have the right approach to the competition and to consider all the determinant what can have impact on your performance. So I would let room Emma prepare some really nice and interesting slides. But one thing I would just like to highlight at the beginning of this conversation, we would like to keep a conversation. So this is not a school lesson. No, this is not just a one-way communication. So we cannot see you, but I hope you are listening to us. But please jump in, make question. If you have any doubt, if you have any idea, if you have any habit you are used to do before competition that you want to know if it's appropriate, if it's good, if it can be effective, like feel free. Again, we are not at school. We are here to try to support you in the best possible way, not only for this competition, because what you will listen from Emma will definitely help you for your career. No? So the Triathlon Europe Development Program and the World Triathlon Development Program are done with this purpose, no? So to support young athletes on the path to high level. It takes time, it takes patience, but especially it takes your engagement. That's the first thing we need to establish in order to be effective on what we are going to do. So really, please feel free to talk, and whatever question or whatever you want to say, just jump in and say it. So I would like the room to Emma. As Jelko say, Emma is one of the few double world champion. And when you are world champion once, doesn't matter when it was, you are a world champion and you are on the top of the world. You know what does it mean to go to competition, not just to do good, but to do the best you can do. And doesn't matter the level. This is a mindset and approach. You will listen to Emma. She is always really interesting, and she has the right perspective, the athlete perspective. No, we are coaches, we are managers, so we cannot see the race with your eyes. Emma can do it because this is how she sees things. So Emma, room to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, just at any point, if you have any questions or anything, just stop me or interrupt. I don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers when it comes to a race, and that is the beauty of a triathlon. It depends on how you look at a course and how you approach a course as to how you're going to race it, and it's really, really important. Well, basically, there's two things to being the best athlete out there. Number one is you need to be the fittest, and that comes through your training and having that structured correctly. And the other is to know more than everyone else. And that doesn't just include, knowing about yourself. It means knowing about your competitors, knowing about the course, knowing how others are going to race it, and knowing how you have different scenarios set up as to what position you'll be in certain areas of the course and what you can use to your advantage in certain areas of the course. Here we are. So yeah, I'm just going to go through sort of race analysis, what it's about. and then turning a course into racing to your advantage. So what's really, I think is really important in triathlon coaching is that a lot of the coaching documentation has been written by national federations that are very dominant. And so there's a very big emphasis on the first sort of half of the race, but there's a lot of the race that you can turn to your advantage on the bike and the run, and that's the bigger portion of the race. So the fact that they can get a fast pack moving at the front of the field with the fast swimmers, you can also get a fast pack moving in the back end of the field. So to do that, you have to have a very optimistic mind and have a lot of confidence in your ability and know the course well. So it all interlinks. Okay, next slide. Hang on, I'm just going to get rid of some background noise. Sorry, it's dinner time in Australia. Okay, so race-specific analysis, what is it about? So we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and how you manage your strengths and weaknesses is going to affect the way you race. So the margins between, coming first and coming 20th these days can be a matter of seconds, can be a matter of under a minute. And you can't really get these massive improvements through increasing volumes and increasing intensities in training, because most of us are really towards our peak volumes and intensities. I mean, you can play around with it a little bit, but you can gain some vital seconds just by racing a course smarter. And that's, also equipment choices and understanding areas where you can go fast just by moving through the course quickly. Next slide. Racing a course to your advantage. I've just sort of been through that. It's about getting advantages in your preferred or your stronger discipline, and in your less developed discipline or your weaker discipline, you minimize the damage. So the result of that is to hopefully have a better performance overall. Does anyone have any questions yet, or not really? No, okay, keep going. Next slide. So like I said, it starts with training well and being the fittest out there, and being having that specific fitness. And as races approach, you fine tune your training, and you should also, as you fine tune your training, also look at the courses and look at the race sites that you're going to race. Race course analysis doesn't just start when you turn up. You suddenly, oh, is this what we're doing? You should have actually looked at that as soon as you can get hold of the maps and understand where the course is and what type of course it is. And it needs to be a very detailed, long-term, as much as it can be, plan and analysis. So why do we do it? Training requirements, as we've been through, tactical requirements designed to your benefit, no one else's, and racing IQ requirements. So that's the racecraft, the race skill, just by racing smarter. All right, so now we're going to Caorle. Is that how I say it? Because in Australia we tend to butcher language, so sorry, apologies. So the first thing you do when you have an event, you go to the event website, work out exactly what is required of you, work out the times you're required in certain places, and now we even have to consider quarantine. So I'm not sure, I know in Australia you're not allowed to do anything. I'm not allowed to go across borders without quarantining and all sorts of stuff. I'm not sure what it's like over there, but Francesco, did you want to go through that quickly? Yeah. Okay.
Just quickly to let you know that today or later tomorrow morning, we will have an update on the athlete guide, just with some logistic information more, but courses are already those who you can see on the maps and on the current athlete guide. So from this side, just take a look to be aware that you fulfill we know that it's a little complicated, no? That you have a lot of paper and document and test and medical certificate, but please take the time to just to go through the athlete guide to make sure that you or your coach or your national federation provide all document what you need. It will be released on next Monday, the link for the medical questionnaire. If it's correct, Kathleen, can you confirm this? From World Triathlon should come the link for the medical the prevent questionnaire, right?
I think it should be on your website, I think, in my opinion. But it's new.
Okay,
you will be the first event that will have this online.
Exactly. No, so
in my opinion, it should be on your website, on your event website.
Okay, but we will communicate also to the athlete. So you will have just to wait next Monday. You cannot do before. So this will be your last paper to fill in order to participate to the race. Then, as you know, you will need to overtake a antigen test. So this is a fast test. You will come all together as a team on Thursday afternoon. We plan with Jelko and Ludmila already the timeline, but we will communicate officially when the testing schedule will be produced. And this is something what all athletes need to do before the race with the new World Triathlon guidelines. Also, elite and junior athletes and personnel will be tested. Don't worry. I don't know if did anybody of you already have a test? I made a question to see if they are listening because
Probably
we cannot see them.
Probably we don't have a test yet, but we will take 1-2 days or day before arrival.
Okay, so just to let you know, it's a really simple test. Is the nurse will just go with a tampon in the nose for, let's say, less than 20-30 seconds. So it will not be painful. It will not be hard. Of course, you will feel a little bit something going through. Is not, but again, don't get worried. Is something what will be really fast, and you will be out from this process in less than 2 minutes. So once you will have done the test, you can go to collect your race number and your race package. So this is a requirement, no, to be negative for the test. I'm sure that every one of you will be negative, and then you will proceed to pick up your number. On Friday, please take a look when is scheduled the bike and the swim familiarization. This is scheduled at 2:30 is bike familiarization, at 3:30 is the swim familiarization. All these information are on the athlete guide. I know that with Ludmila and Jelko, you will organize to go to the familiarization all together. And to use the time, you will have 1 hour to ride on the bike course. So road will be completely closed to traffic. Due to the World Triathlon guidelines, we cannot organize a escorted lap. So will not be motorbike on the course, will not be anyone to drive you through the course, just to avoid to have big pack of athletes together. So please also during the familiarization, try to keep the distance one to each other, especially when we line up before the start, because we'll be about 300 athletes line up before the start. So in that phase, please just to keep normal social distancing. And this will have, this is a rule I think now you get used to. So, but you will have more time. Usually one thing we are not really allowed during the familiarization is to take time to watch the bike course, because generally we can do 1 lap, 2 lap escorted. So you cannot stop and maybe to try to understand some turning, how to approach, which can be the best line to get in. If you can pedal on the turning, Emma will be more specific about this, how to approach the bike course, how to watch the bike course during the familiarization. So you have the time to do it properly. You can go on the same turning 3-4 times on different speed. So I think this will be really useful, no, to do it in a proper and in a focused way, as Emma said, to gain as much as possible from this approach. please make sure that you will have also your invitation letter. This is what will avoid you to have a quarantine when you will come into Italy. This is by the law. It's not a LOC requirement, it's not a World Triathlon requirement. So if they should stop you, I think the most part of you, no, some of you probably are coming by car, is correct? Christina, yep. I think.
Yes, we are going by a car.
And other athletes, I think. Yeah, please.
Interrupt you for a minute. I think that you didn't understand the question from Christina. Christina was asking if she needs to do the test back home before she leaves the country 72 hours.
This depends by the country. No? So I just got an email in the morning from the Slovakian, if I remember right, your country, Christina.
I didn't have a question. I just said that we already have prepared our test.
Yeah, you need to take the test before to come to Italy. So this will, you mean?
Yeah, I know that. I know that. I just said that we are prepared to do that. That it was all. Okay,
that's fine. Sometimes also boys and girls can be a little scared about this kind of test, but I know that is not your case. Then this I was saying about the invitation letter. Please make sure to have it. I know that some countries still didn't request, so check with your coach or with your federation if the trip is organized by them to be okay with all what you need for traveling safe and not to have problem anywhere on your trip. A little bit easier probably. Please.
Do you also have to check that you can get home? Because I know here, yeah. So don't forget, you got to check that you can get back.
As an organizer, we organize in the way that you have availability of labs to do tests before and test not after the competition, because anyway, test will be done on Friday and Saturday, but this will allow some country they have 48 hours, some 72 hours. But if you're doing the test on Friday, for those who are leaving already on Sunday, it will be still enough, the pre-race test. So this makes sure it really is not just one rule. So each country has different regulations. So that's up to the national federation to check this. But again, since you guys are going to race, don't, take a look and take a check, because if any issue should come, then you would be involved. So it's not enough to say, oh, my coach will do or my federation will do. Let's start to take responsibility. You are the one who is going to race. So you need not to do things, but at least to be sure that things are done on time and in the right way. Because more and more, you will have to organize these things by yourself. As far as I know, the athletes who are part of the team, the trip was organized by federation for this country, but we have plenty of athletes who are organizing by themselves. And to be an elite athlete, it means especially to be an independent athlete and an independent person. So let's start this process, to take responsibility for everything what is connected with your traveling and with your racing. If you need any question or if you have any doubt about all what is connected with procedure and with testing and whatever, just please let me know. It's fine. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the course. Just one recent news. Yesterday I was in Caorle. Water temperature was 17.5 degrees. But it's 1 week rainy, and the next week will be probably rainy again. So consider to bring your wetsuit with you.
Okay. Is it me or you? Me.
You.
Okay. Keeping in mind, I have never been to Caorle. Okay, so I'm just doing this off maps, and this is what you can do, obviously, from Australia. But when you get there, you need to make sure that you check over all this stuff. So I've asked Francesco, is it hilly? And he said no. The race organisers quite often say that. And you turn up and you go, hang on, why are my legs hurting? So when you get there, you've got to make sure, see if there's any hills. Sometimes there's dead flats. And so they're just the areas of the course where you just feel awful for some unknown reason, and you'll actually find that you are slightly going uphill. Is it windy? It looks like, to me, it looks like it's on a beachfront. So there'd obviously be some sort of wind somewhere. Temperature, Francesco has just said. Race laps, well, you always need to know how many race laps you're doing. And equipment, we're taking our wetsuits, what kind of wheels, if there's crosswinds, are we going to have deep rim? Are your tyres new? Don't ever race on old tyres. And your gearing, if it's flats, well, maybe you can push bigger gears. You know, maybe you can get away from your compact gearing. Those sort of questions are things that I think you should consider.
If I can just quickly jump in about the wind. You have two different kind of wind. Wind can be strong. Yesterday was pretty strong wind. And you have two directions mainly. One is coming from the seaside and one is coming from the back. So when you get wind from the seaside, you will have cloudy weather. Temperature is a little warmer. Air is a little warmer. But when it's blowing, let's say, from the sea to your face, no? So if you're going on the beach, you will feel the wind in the face. Then is going then to affect in one direction the bike course. The other wind is coming exactly the opposite direction. This is Bora. I don't know if you know. I think some countries are also involved with this. This is cold wind coming from north, from Russia. So it's going like diagonal through Hungary. I think you have some, and then Austria and Slovenia, and just crashing till Caorle. This wind it can be even 40, 50 km per hour. It can be really strong and cold. Okay, so it can put the temperature down for 5, 6 degrees in 1 or 2 days. So there's no kind of middle way. It can be no wind at all, really nice weather, and complete absence of wind. But if you have wind, it will be strong. And just make sure to understand if it's coming from north or from south, because this will affect exactly in the opposite way when you will be on the bike course. But let's keep going with the swim.
Okay, and also, like, if it's possibly going to be cold wind on the bike, I used to actually freeze on the bike as soon as I was out. I mean, even though you're pushing hard, but if it was a cold wind. So think about whether you want to have toe covers on your shoes and things like that, just so that when you hit the run, you have feet, your toes aren't like ice cubes. Okay, the swim. So looking at that swim, I would straight away say, so we're starting at the green dot and we're going in a clockwise direction. So I would look at that and say, okay, how far are we running into the water? Because the more running, the better. Is there surf? I've been told no. There must be wind chop. And because we're going out on an angle rather than running straight out, there would be some sort of wind chop that is going to affect the way you breathe, because you're swimming sort of across the chop. You're not heading straight out into it. I'd also wonder about, is the sun going to be low on the horizon? So can we see the swim markers? So possibly you might wear a dark or a lighter lens goggle. And these are all things that you can only work out when you're there, really. We generally know, you know, given the setup of swim races, that the first buoy is about 300 metres out. If it's, 300 metres at 150. So, I mean, we know it's going to be a fast start, but you need to make sure that you've really worked out how you're going to start that. And the same with the exit. You're sort of coming in on an angle. I'm assuming this picture is accurate, Francesco. Mm-hmm. That's another trick race organisers sometimes do. Their swim's completely different to the picture. So you have to have a look at all this stuff and how you're going to exit. You know, when you start wading or when the swim turns into a run out. What kind of sand is it? Is it soft sand? So if it's soft sand, you shorten your stride. Soft sand also, you try and tread in footprints because it's already compressed, and that's an easier way of running on soft sand. So all those sort of things. Has anyone got any questions on that? No? Yes? Francesco?
Can I just share quickly my screen? I took some short, not really nice video because I did myself, so I'm not good at that, but I think it could be useful for the guys just to take a look. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the start. On the left side, you can see just this will be one line where will be aligned all the 75 athletes. So as you can see, it's quite hard sand. It's not soft one. You can easily walk and not, let's say, falling. And Emma, this is Adriatic waves. We are not in Australia, so we have no big waves. Nobody surf with this kind of waves, absolutely. But
well, you can get a bit of an advantage on that. You know, going out. So if you're going out and the buoys are slightly over to the left, you'd want to be breathing to the left, because if you're breathing to the right, those little waves are going to be smashing in your face. So you'd want to really breathe to the left on the way out. And it looks like it's quite shallow, so you'd really need to work out how far you run into that and when you start dolphining.
I will show you in one another video. You can see better how shallow is the water. This will be the corridor you will have to run to get into the transition. Everything, we will cut the grass and we will put nice moquette, so you will see a different layout, but mainly this is the path you will have to run. It's 125 meters to get into the transition, so it will be quite long transition, but this is something what a lot of athletes can use at their own advantage, because here you have possibility to close some gap and to gain some position. And here is where it will be located, the transition area. Just to see if I can show you better the. As you can see, and Emma was saying, that waves are going not straight in front of you, but slightly diagonal. Okay, and you can almost run till the end of. You can see my cursor almost till the end of this base.
Oh, okay. So it starts on the beach, it doesn't start in the water?
No, the start will be on the beach. If you can still see my cursor, the lineup will be here. Okay.
So that, I mean, you can really sprint into the water, get some speed going and wade. And if you can wade out to that end of that groin or that rock wall, that's and then start swimming. You know, you do that properly and you can make a couple of meters up on people just by nailing the start.
Yeah.
Does everyone know how to wade?
Is always going slightly diagonal, no? So you can use also this on your advantage when you are going from the last buoy to the beach. Here you can see better how. Till here, you have maybe 30 to 50 centimeter water, no more. Okay. It's really shallow. Then was different timing than the race, because the race will be in the afternoon, so it will be a little bit more, but not much. And just to show one reference, this is what you will see when you will be on the last buoy watching the beach. Here where is this blue flag is the exit, but for sure you will not be able to see that flag from the sea, but you can see this building. Okay, so as a reference, when you will be in the water, you can easily see from here, this is the first building, and then there's a line of building. But on the other side, there's nothing. Okay, so if you need a big reference from when you will be in the water to go to the beach, this man, he didn't want to move from my way, but, and this will be the ramp, of course, will be a moquette, but this will be the ramp you will go out to get into the transition. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with video, but I think at least
good.
you have one idea on where we are talking about. I think you can go back to your to share your screen.
Zita's running it. Okay, and just from the video, just am I off mute yet? It seemed like when you exit the water, you stay to the left to run down that path because that was a shorter line than staying on the right. So there were those little things as well you look at. But yeah, I think we've covered that. And as long as everyone knows how to wade, so when you run into the water, you run flat out and you don't run through water, you step over it. So you step over water, and that's sort of by swinging your legs over and your feet going in front of you. And then when that becomes too hard, you start to dolphin through. So that's where you sort of dive through the water, grab the sand at the bottom, and then push yourself up because the waves can sort of push you into the shore. When that becomes too hard, that's when you start to swim. Also coming out, you stand up when you can touch the bottom, not before. Does everyone know how to do that? Anyway, so T1 is really, really important because if you are a weaker swimmer, or even if you're a strong swimmer, you're moving from the slowest to the fastest discipline. So whatever advantage you have in the swim or whatever disadvantage you have in the swim, it's going to blow out once you hit land because you suddenly are starting to go faster. And so a small, like a 10 seconds in the water can look visually so much greater once you hit land, and it can be quite demoralizing. So that's where you have to really remain sure of what your race plan is. And also, okay, so T1 is where you can possibly make up some time. Francesco said 120 meters, the transition area. So I assume some are going to be getting their bike sooner than others, and then on the way back in, it'll be opposite way around. So you need to work out which transition, T1 or T2, you're going to be running the most with the bike. And, you know, just being really aware of things like that. Also where dismount and mount lines are. Yeah, just transition. You just got to be all over all the flows.
Just one question for the guys. Is there any one of you who has the strongest discipline in swim?
Nope.
Guys?
Okay,
Others?
so no one's a strong swimmer?
Well, I'm not sure, but for me, it's like in this time, I have the stronger discipline is, I think, swim for me.
Okay. So you're going to have to get out there and work out how to stay out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bike. I can't actually see the start of the bike, but it looks like you come out of transition, and you know you can see the course. It's an anti-clockwise course, and the really important thing about the bike is T1. Are you in the right bike gear? Are you in the right gear to be able to get on the bike and go fast? There's a couple of turns initially. You need to work out whether you should bother to get your feet in the shoes or whether you just go for it. generally just going for it is the thing to do. The course, once you get around a few corners, seems to open up, but it's still important, even though on a map it looks like they're quite sharp corners, you need to see, because sometimes roads, if they're 2 lanes and not 1 lane, you can still pedal through all the corners. So you need to have a look at that, because if you can pedal through corners, you're obviously going to go a lot quicker. And on the bike, as we all know, the first, how many laps is it? 3 laps or 6 laps?
6 laps.
So generally the first half of the bike is sort of the furious start, and that's when you really need to cover any moves anyone makes. Generally, you know, the last lap, everyone's sort of starting to think about the run and things tend to ease off a little bit. I wouldn't guarantee that, but that's a general sort of thing that happens in races. It's really important when you look at the bike course to see what the camber of the road is. So in other words, what the slant is. Some corners will be really nice to really go fast around. There'll be sections where you'll be able to come around a corner and you'll be able to use the road camber to swing yourself through the next corner. Obviously, with the wind, you need to work out which areas that you can really go for it, because you've got a tailwind. You should be absolutely monstering it in those sections. And then, you know, remember to use all your gears. Your gears aren't there just for your bike to look good. They're to be absolutely used. You're carrying them the whole way, so make sure you use them. Headwinds, you know, work out which side of the road that you can sort of shelter from. If you're out on your own, which areas that, you know, really need to be aero in. So little things like that. Are there any sheltered areas, Francesco?
Yeah, on the straight part.
Which bit's
longer,
that?
I just need to find the right map. Let's say that except when they are going out from the transition, this part is, there are no building around. So if it's windy, it can be really highly affected by the wind.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning about the flat before. If it's a flat course, believe me, is completely flat course. All this area around Venice is 0%. Like it would be nice to have a training camp there, but it's impossible to find even a short hill to do reps on the bike or even on the run. So it's really completely flat, 0%.
Okay.
Almost the whole city.
So it's really important then to make sure that you're cornering well, you're choosing your gears well, and you know which way the wind's going to be blowing and where you should be every section of the bike. And that you can work out yourself when you get there, because you can't possibly do that just off paper and maps. Okay. Yeah, that's just the, you know, the corners, left and right corners, which ones can you pedal through. We've got some U-turns each end of the course. The sharp ones, you need to identify those ones. Some of them may look sharp, and you'll very quickly work out which athletes are riding well through corners and which ones aren't. If they're not riding well through corners, chuck them on the back of your group. Just get in front of them, because they're just going to be wasting your time. And the wind, the headwinds, the tailwinds and the crosswinds. When the crosswinds, which side are you sitting on if you're in a bunch? And also the longest sections of headwinds and tailwinds, just so you know what's going on and what's coming up and how to position yourself. And, you know, if you're coming off a section of a strong tailwind and you've got a corner coming up, use that momentum to get you around that corner. Okay. T2, dismount. How far are you running with the? Well, basically, when are you going to get your feet out of the shoes? Where's the dismount line? How fast are you going to be approaching? The flows, Francesco?
Can I share again 1 second my screen, please? This I just got during our call is the final map of the transition with mount line and dismount line. So you saw the long 120 and then turn right to get into transition. Okay. You see the first bike will be on the left side, the number 2 will be on the right side. Then you will run with your bike for about 50 meters, turn left, and then you have the mount line here. You cannot see the road, but if you will recognize on the map which point is this, you have 100-meter completely straight road where you can be already on the bike. But then you have 2 double turning to go out from the transition, from that area. No? The one you see at the beginning of the bike. So it's up to you if you are fast enough to jump in and put the feet into the shoes immediately. But if you lose that momentum of the first 100 meters, then for sure is probably not a good moment to do it when you have the chicane turning left and turning right. I don't know if you want to add anything on that. Let's say that the space you have to when you jump on the bike is wide and straight. So it's good. Also, if it's a big group, there's space enough for all to jump on the bike. But when you put the feet in the into the shoes, that's up to your skills.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. Sometimes, you know, it was a bit of a panic and I didn't manage to get both feet in, but I always managed to get the inside foot. So if you've got a corner coming up and it's the left-hand corner, get your left foot in so you can make sure that pedals up, and so the outside leg wasn't in a shoe. Not the most safe thing to do, but that's sometimes what happens in racing. So make sure you've got the pedal that needs to go up on the corner in. If it's a tight corner, you might be able to pedal right through. But my priority was always because I was a weaker swimmer, my priority was to absolutely nail that first bit on the bike. Okay.
And if I can say about the dismount line, you can see it on the left side of the screen of the map.
We cannot see your
sorry.
screen. Yeah,
You
that's
did.
why.
I probably. No, now you can.
It's a main
now
screen.
we can see your desktop.
Yeah. You can see now?
No. There's an iceberg.
But it's showing me you are sharing the screen. Sorry about that.
Yes, you are sharing the screen, but this is your desktop. Can you?
Because
to
I
the
have
document?
double screen. Sorry, yeah.
Then another.
I have 2 monitors, yeah.
Now we can see. This is super.
Sorry.
And this is a good one.
Okay.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
So you have here, you have still to run a little bit with your bike in your hand before to reach the mount line. So pay attention when it's traffic, but then you have a lot of space here to jump on. On the dismount, you're just coming straight, fast, because this road is completely straight. So you have just to jump down and keep going. Just pay attention. If I can enlarge the image. Too much. Wanted to show you the ramp. This will be updated today on the website, but this is no more the right map. Sorry about again.
But this was good enough. So
yeah, this is. I just got via email now because this is what we prepare to update later today the athlete guide. So. Especially the dismount line, I think will be quite important to be as much as possible in front, because you will come really fast and you have straight, so you have time to put your feet out from the shoes quite before, if you are able to do that. But then try always to keep some good position in front to avoid traffic and congestion, because you have this this small ramp to bring you into the transition area again. Okay, Emma, I think you are
the run.
Again, yours. Sorry. Yep.
Okay, I'm a little bit lost. Where's the start of the run?
The start
Where's
of
the transition?
is where you can see aid station.
Okay, that's
Okay.
the transition.
A little before, you see this road like banana. Sorry, yeah. Okay, there is the beginning of the run.
Okay, so see how important it is to go and have a look, because the maps are sometimes confusing. Okay, the run. So we need to work out the exit. Looks like there's a turn just as soon as we get out.
Slightly.
Yeah, and whatever that turn is, the wind direction is going to obviously change, and the wind affects you on the run as well as like it does on the bike. Quite a long section, that first bit along the beach, I would say. And sometimes that's sort of quite difficult because you feel like you're not really getting anywhere. It looks like the longer section of the run is, you know, as soon as you get onto the run. How many laps is the run?
2 laps.
2 laps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the old usual tactic of the run of the specialist swimmers is to go as fast as you can for as long as you can. So if you are a run specialist, make sure you run and negative split the race. So your second lap is better than your first, and that's when you start to create some real damage. If it's windy, obviously work out which side of your competitors you need to be on. If you're on your own, just make sure you shorten your stride a little bit, because if you have a very long stride, or you try and, you know, really push into a headwind, shorten the stride a little bit, and you're not off the ground for as long, and therefore you're not blown back as much. Corners, obviously the same as the bike, not quite as much, but you always want to have the shortest course. So you can see as you come around the beach, you turn left, and then you've got another left and a left. So that sort of, I suppose, the second left to the third left, that might just be a diagonal run across the road rather than doing sharp turns the whole way, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to everyone?
Just to make sure and to pay attention, because there will be cones. So the run course will be between the
very strict
walk path and the cones. So just pay attention. It's correct what Emma is saying. Just pay attention, don't to overtake the cones, because then this will result in disqualification, because it's a shortcut on the run course.
We don't want that.
And we will blame on Emma, who gave us.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, U-turns, you need to know how to run around a U-turn quickly. It's the same. You go in wide, cut around, and then go out wide. The same as the bike. And you can lose a lot of time on a run if you don't do them well. Got a couple of U-turns. Aid stations. Are you, how far is the run?
Pardon?
How far is the run? How long is the run?
It's 2.5 per lap.
Per lap, okay.
Yeah.
So work out which aid stations you're going to use. You don't have to always use an aid station. I mean, it's recommended to, but, you know, sometimes you save time by working out which one you're going to use. And, yeah, I think, what else have I said? Equipment, sorry.
If I can just say about the aid station, you will find it immediately after T2. So immediately at the beginning of the run, you can see it on the right side. But this you will find also, let's say you're doing your course, then you have another aid station, more or less at the half of the course. But then when you see the finish, this is finish for junior and for elite, but elite will have 1 lap more. So you can see that on the left side is a junction to go again to do the second lap. So you can find the first aid station, what you have after T2, you can find it at the beginning of the first lap and at the beginning of the second lap. So you can catch it twice, and it will be located in the middle so that athlete can serve on both sides.
Yeah. And it's really important in the run, if you're a run specialist or if you're weaker in the swim, that as long as on the bike you hold them, the run, you can start to run people down, because you can do a lot of damage in the back end of the run on your competitors. Okay, so that's where your optimism and understanding of how you're racing. Triathlon racing, well, a lot of coaching is done by developed countries, and a lot of them have the swim specialists, and you don't have to copy how others are racing. If you have worked out how to race the course, you can race it to your advantage. I think that's really important to have in your mind when you're on the run, because the run is really where it starts to hurt. Yeah, and just equipment considerations. You know, what shoes you're going to wear. I didn't really like wearing headwear. I found it too hot. But if it's, you know, if you need shade, sometimes it's good. I always wore sunnies. And nutrition. You know, you might have a gel that you have at the start of the run. You might use the first aid station and then just get into it, depending on how you're feeling. So same with the bike. You need to identify the corners you can, because you're going to have areas of wind as well as the bike. So in the run, you know, what areas can you run really fast because you're being pushed along with a tailwind? What areas are going to be really difficult with headwind? And also the finish area, you must know, like the back of your hand, the last 2K or the last K into the finish area. I mean, when it's only a 2.5K lap, 2K out's quite a lot to know, but you need to know what the approach is going to be like, which side, in case it's a close finish, which side should you be on, the left or the right, as you sort of make the last few turns into the finish, shortest line to the finish line, and the length of the finishing chute. Like, where actually is the finish line? You know where the finish area is, but where's the line? That's what you're running for. So be really sure about those things.
If I can just add one about this finish, it's really good point you mentioned, because due to the COVID guideline, to avoid congestion on the last 100 meters, the last 50 probably will be separated by the technical delegate in 3 lines of 1.5 meters each, separated by cones, so that athletes are not getting too close during the final sprint. I know that this could sound a little difficult to do, because when you are running, and if you are sprinting on the finish line, so it will not really involve your mechanic or technique of run. Just go. These are cones, so at the worst case, they will just fall down, but just that you are aware of. And if I can say, we try to have a really straight last 120 meters, as you can see on the map, is just also to give the opportunity to the athlete to sprint in a straight line as fast as they can. But is the center of a urban area, so it's not for car. And the surface, if it's wet or rainy, it could be slightly slippery. Just to consider this. Yeah, okay. If it's rainy, all floors could be slippery, but especially this, it's marmor, kind of marmor, not real marmor. But so if it's wet, it could be slippery. So just pay attention how to do the proper acceleration on this kind of surface.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Because that's sort of, oh yeah, you now need to plan your race, plan your training. Well, it's only 2 weeks away. And you need to make sure you've got your preparation and quarantines and documents, and don't get all worried about that stuff. There's nothing we can do about it. So it's just things we have to do now around races. And yeah. Sorry, it's my phone. So does anyone have any questions? No? Is everyone asleep?
Who is the running specialist? Who has in the run the strongest discipline of you? You say Christina in the swim. What about other?
I think I have run the best.
Yeah.
But maybe I would ask about the bike, because as you said, it could be really windy. So what size or what height the wheels should be? Maybe have some pointers, like are the 50 millimeter wheels too high or not?
I think that depends on your skill. So if you're a confident cyclist, you know, you can turn up on whatever. If you're concerned about that, bring 2 sets of wheels and try it out. And especially try it out on corners where this wind direction starts to change. And you might even consider putting, you know, a normal wheel on the front and a deep rim on the back, because that's, you know, always okay. Well, I found that okay. But yeah, and you've got to test out your wheels on corners, because that's when the wind's going to sort of start whipping at you.
Okay.
So yeah, there's never a right and wrong answer. And, you know, sometimes you'd be in a race and you'd see someone struggling with their bike and think, well, that was a bad choice. But yeah, just bring the wheels that you want to use and your sort of safe wheels and try them out.
Okay.
Consider in 2 years ago was quite strong wind, the race day. We organized similar course, but not exactly the same. And as Emma said, some good athletes, they were able to manage a 50 millimeter profile.
Oh, we've lost him.
They had crash because they had wheels that they were not able to control. No? So I totally agree with Emma answer. It depends on your skill. It depends how you feel comfortable to use high profile or lower profile. No? That's more up to you. I can understand the question because probably traveling, I don't know, can you bring 4 wheels with you, 2 couple of wheels?
Yeah, I think it should be manageable, but okay. Yeah.
Okay. I think in this soft bike case, now you can fit 4 wheels. Let's say I was using one soft bike in the last years with some athletes and they were able to bring 4 wheels, so spare wheels and race wheels on all competition. And this, I think, is a good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've lost him.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I hope that helped.
Henry,
Everyone's
Timmy,
very quiet.
Margus, any question?
No?
No question.
No questions.
No question, just to say thank you for guiding us through the course.
Do you guys normally do things like that? Is that, you know, do you look at a course like that already?
Well, sometimes, but I think more like not at home, but in the, I don't know how it's called, on the briefing.
Oh, okay. No, you should try and get into the habit of looking at courses and, you know, really using the gears on the bike to your advantage, because there's a lot of, rather than rolling around in packs and rolling around and, oh, you know, here I am stuck in this, you should always be out there trying to mix things up and beat people.
That's for sure. That's the most important.
Just beat people.
Well, I mean, I never liked rolling around in a group. I was constantly thinking, how can I break this up? I was never happy with people around me. How can I break this up? How can I make this harder? Because I was always a strong runner. When we get to the run, how can I make sure everyone's broken? So that was what the bike was about, just hurting people. And you've got most of the portion of the race on the bike. And if you can ride a course aggressively and don't worry about saving your legs for the run, because if you're fit, generally the fastest person on the bike is going to be the fastest runner. You can look at all the results and you can look at the history of triathlon, and generally a fast bike, a fast run, because you're in the front.
Thank you,
You're
Emma.
laughing.
No, we are just enjoying. So
Okay. And the other thing is, they say talent is common, and then they say that disciplined talent is rare, but then the rarest type of athlete is disciplined talent with an optimistic outlook. So you never ever think, oh, wow, I've really screwed this up, because it's, you know, triathlon is an endurance sport, and there's going to be some point at some time, or there could be many points at many times where you're not exactly where you wanted to be. And you just got to stay strong, stay focused, stay optimistic, and work out how to fix it, and don't dwell on it. And you'll find yourself racing a lot better. But anyway, we could go on for days. Oh.
Zita, any final word?
Thank you, everyone. But I would just say, as Christina said, that they used to do this on the briefing. You know, the briefing is 2 days prior to the race. You don't have anything, or just very few, that you can change over those 2 days until the racing. So that's why it is important that, you know, when you set the your racing plan with your coach, you know, as soon as you know which races you are going to do, it's very important that you look at those races, you are familiar with the race, so you don't do such a mistake that you go for a hilly course such in Karlovy Vary without any hilly training on bike. So I think it's important that don't leave this race analysis, and this is why we are here right now. And thank you to Emma and Francesco, you know, giving that opportunity, that now you know that even on the run course and also the bike course, you have so many U-turns. So now probably it's time that you can focus on a little bit, and many other details that we just heard today. So that's why, from the development perspective, that's why we would like to engage you with these kind of sessions, just to prepare you, just to have that habit that you just don't go to the race, you know, without knowing the course, without knowing the the details. Because if you see that, in that sense, that our field of play is the nature can change from one day to the other, from 1 hour to the other. So all the advantage that you may have, if you know how to react, if the wind comes from here or there, or whatever. So that's why it is also part of the game, part of the triathlon, I would say. So hopefully it will be helpful. And next time, if we have such a similar session, you can even come, you know, prepared for that session with questions as well, or just, you know, be mindful that, as Francesco said at the very beginning, that, you know, your racing is in your hand. Of course, you have your coach, you have your national federation, but at the end, you know, it all comes down to yourself. And hopefully the education hub, by this time, you should have already the access to the education hub. So we would like to, you know, encourage you just to have that really competitive mindset, like going towards to become a professional triathlete or an elite triathlete. So all the reporting that we are also adding to this race, it's also try to, you know, develop your mindset, how to go to a race, to have an objective for that race, how to analyze your race after the competition, and identify all those key learning points that, you know, can be important for your future career as well. Thank you, Ludmila, for sharing and talking and showing that the education hub. So yeah, I think
so now me and Emma, we can see the face of the guys.
yeah, they are a little bit shy.
If I can just add something, Zita.
Of course. Oh yeah.
So yeah, you heard from Francesco that the C is just 17.5. So if you didn't practice with your wetsuit during the winter time, now is the perfect timing to start. First, to check if you fit in that one. So if you gain some weight. Well, just kidding. So yeah, try to use it even in the swimming pool, because don't expect to get on the race and just having all that experience how to put it on and off, especially to get it off after the hard swim. Don't forget that one. It's an important second that you can gain or lose in the P1.
Okay. Thank you all.